So hi, I do not know if there's anybody actually moderating this up front. If so, please go ahead. Otherwise, I'm going to start with my talk today. I think it is pretty interesting how to see how much of power the OCA has with regards to bring a product to life at a customer. And we think it's really the community that is brought to life at the customer. It is fabulous. I'm thrilled to talk to you about our experiences over the last couple of years that we have done with regards to customer projects, fulfillment of customer needs, and so forth with OCA modules. And we have made an assortment of modules that we think are really critical that we'd like to introduce to you today. First of all, I think it is really important that we all together as a community are bringing together a great base. Everybody has its strengths, its experiences, and those kind of things are putting together, are bringing a really great solution to the marketplace. We are competing with very big companies in the ERP space today. And I think that's really a fantastic story that so many community members are making that possible. So from our end, we want to put out a big thank you to everybody being part of that community, actively supporting, endorsing those kind of things from everybody. So again, thanks very much for that. The topics, again, we are having an assortment of modules of great business solutions. All of that is based on OCB, which is the backport base of the Odoo version that is in use. And then we want to share basically what we have done there. We are going to have most of the talk as a showcase of what could be done with regards to those modules, where we are using them, how they are actually bringing value to the solution. And then we also want to share a little bit of insight of what we are doing when it comes to experience with the customer requirements. If users are asking us for additions, changes, whatsoever, what our best practices. Might not be a fit for everybody here in the industry, but I think it's from the experience that we have, it's a good idea. Then also what to do if the modules are not yet available, and what we have actually concluded from that. Because of course it takes a lot of time nowadays, but it is also a big effort to bring all those modules to new versions of Odoo. And that is, of course, sometimes you need to balance between that. About myself, Joerg Lorenz from ITIS. We're in the business since 2000. Got ERP experience since 1996. We are actually community members since 2011, and I think from that point of view, we got a little bit of an insight about what is really working, what might not work also. The key takeaway, I think, is for today, I'm going to put that up front and going to, of course, repeat it afterwards, is that you can do it on the OCA stack. For us, it was some sort of experience of how we are going to balance between customer requirements, product, the need of the industry, and the need of the client. So it is a possibility, and I think it's a proven one. Because there's always a question, do we need Odoo Enterprise or don't we need Odoo Enterprise for clients? Some of the clients, of course, they want to go that path with Odoo Enterprise, some others won't, and you need to balance. In our case, we leave it up to the customer to have the choice, and it is not always a necessity and a good way to go with Enterprise. So in our view, it is required to be open and keep it open, because that is actually bringing also an added value to the client and to us as a community as well. By the way, if there's any questions, please use chatter, and if you have any remarks later on, feel free to email me, Joerg Lorenz @its.de, or also you can use current website and just touch base with us. So, which modules to use? We have actually put in a little disclaimer here because there's such a lot of terrific modules on the OCA. There's probably a couple of them are going to be left out today, and you might say, those are important, really. Of course, it depends on the scenario of the client, and it depends also on your particular practice of how you're doing it. For instance, just the former talk was on open upgrade. That is something that you could really consider to do your upgrades. I'm not going to touch on that today, since it was already covered in the former talk, but there's other areas as well that I'm not going to cover today. For instance, if somebody is really particularly interested in the web page possibilities of the OCA products and others like POS, those are not going to be covered today, but they might be really important for taking into consideration. So it is an assortment that we are using on a regular basis when it comes to attracting people towards the product line, but it's not necessarily everything that you need. So you still want to look into the particular situation. However, the modules that we're today is talking about are going to be the major areas of an ERP solution, of an enterprise resource planning solution, as it is the abbreviation, and of course a little bit more. So we are going to cover accounting today. There's a couple of serious situations where you need more than what is covered with the regular standard community product. And there is, on the one hand side, generic modules that you can have. And then there's also additional country-specific and optional products or modules that you can actually put in. And I think you need both. Particular accounting is always a very crucial area of a business solution because most of the people judge and value upon that. If you are in a shootout between your product and some competitive solution, most of the time, accounting is one of the key measures. And I think, therefore, it is crucial that that is a stronghold for your product. We have done a lot of additions in this area. We are using a lot of OCA additions there because we think it is really vital to be good there, to compete and win. Warehouse is another area which is, of course, important. I think the standard product is terrific already, but there's also a couple of options that are really good to include to make sure that the warehouse is fully covered up. Sales CRM, one of the powerhouses of Odoo anyways, but again, a couple of possibilities to really make it a little bit better even. And then contacts, where we have seen a lot of things that are requested and not yet really fulfilled is in the employee and attendance area. All sorts of issues with regards to how to handle a contract, to really make sure that the employees' times are valued in a way they should be. And therefore, there's also additions that we are using there. And then project and manufacturing. Those are mostly the both areas which are then distinguishing, and maybe sometimes even companies are using those for a company, which is the area of their value appreciation, meaning where they are generating their revenue from. Last not least, tools and reporting. Some of those modules are also very vital and should be used there. So those are the areas that I'm going to cover together with colleague today, and we are going to do that on the showcase. So we want to show you really where we're using it, why we are using it, and what is the benefit of it. So with that, I'm going to switch over and stop my share.
Okay, hello, my name is Alfred. So let me share the screen. And then we can start right away with the, let's say use case. It was really hard to concentrate on some functionalities since there is a large number of modules. And of course, we cannot show everything. Also, we still try to have some sense in the use case. So there are much more functionalities. But let's go through it. First of all, we want to start with a kind of project planning, which is based on the business requirements module from the OCA. We really use this a lot, since it's a very good point to start with planning a project and process to create all the required tasks and specify what you need. And that's what we're going to do here. We want to create a new design for workstation. And here you have several fields you can fill in. You can, for example, create a business requirement for a customer. In this case, we're just creating it for our own company. Okay. Therefore, we have different types of products we can use here. Let's choose a main project here. We can also define when we want to start it, as well the end date, when it should be ready for market, for example. Okay. We can use analytic accounts, which is also great functionality. And we're going to do this here right away for the product development again. As you can see here, there are much more features. Yes, that's right, there's echo. Joe, can you maybe mute? Okay, not sure. Yes, now it's gone. Thanks for the comment. As you can see, there are much more categories. You can define reviewers, stakeholders, and so on. So there's really a lot of possibility in it. And here is a great part of it. You can define what you need to do. So there's a stakeholder story. So we use it, for example, for customer requirements as well. So here I can define what's wrong. The old model doesn't look up to date anymore, and technical part must be updated as well. Scenario here, for example, we can write something down like new design, look and feel. Then we should have a more space for additional storage, and so on. Gap, you can define gaps, test cases as well. So just looking through this options. And next thing you can do here is define task. That's also great stuff. You can use project templates, for example. You can also add analysis hours if you spend time to look into this topic to create an estimation, for example, for a customer. This is a great possibility. And of course, you can create the tasks itself. So let's pick one of the customers here to make it more clear, because based on a customer selection, you can also use your own company. You receive a customer code, And this was then related to according task code as well. So let's say analysis of reported issues and feature list. This is a kind of, let's create a section. Let's say this is preparation. And this is already assigned to employee, as you can see, and here you can already add estimated hours. Like, let's say this is 1 day we want to spend for that. Next part is, create concept and design, for example. I will try to copy and paste here to not spend more time than required for this one. And I also will keep it really simple, implementation and design. This is something like 40 hours. And then, of course, we have the implementation itself. P. This is something like 160 hours, for example. And then we have quality tests. Okay. Good. So let's keep it like this. So we have several tasks here, and we also have a possibility to add dependencies, for example. So we could also define dependencies already on the tasks when we create the project, because here the dependency is also OCA module we are using. So this is something we could do already here, but we will see this in the project itself afterwards again. Okay, so we have a project or planning created here. Okay, we need a stakeholder, yes, so let's keep it like this. And then we save this one. Based on the entries here, you can also print the business requirement as well as the estimation, for example. So let's try this one. And there we will have a report like this, where you can see what we entered there, what we need to do, what's the scenario, that we really have a kind of requirement. And we also have another one, which is the estimation. So where we edit the tasks and time and hours. This will result in a report where we can see a kind of a project plan or estimation if you want to define the budget internally, for example, or quote it to a customer.
So that's a good possibility to really draft your project in a way that you hand it over to the customer and let it be reviewed before you're quoting them for any kind of particular.
Absolutely. So it's a good point to start with for real project, of course, software projects as well, but also for product design, for example, to see what you need and what you need to do to get it done. The stages, as you can see here on top, like draft, confirmed, approved, this is something you can configure. So this is really cool. You can customize it according to your needs for the company. And let's confirm this one here. By confirmation, now you can see additional buttons here. So the project is created now, as well as the tasks we entered there. So let's jump into the tasks. And here you can see 4 new tasks, which are created based on our entries with according hours we wanted to spend or we estimated, as well as the assigned person here. Customer is of course also there. So what we can do on this is, for example, add a dependency, as I said before, as you can see here. There's also the possibility to add dependencies all over all projects. So this is not only one project. You can, the current project, you can define a dependency. It's also possible that you have, for example, sub-projects or maybe a resource is included in another project and this task needs to be done first before he can take care of this one. So that's also great functionality. And yeah, we can use this one, for example. Let's keep it simple. Just set a dependency, like we need to create the analysis first before we can start with this one. And here it is added into the lines, and therefore dependency is there now. Okay, what else? Of course, these are the default values like start and end dates. I just set one for as example, and then we can look into other stuff. Of course, these are standard functionalities not related to OCA. This is just a view. So let's create some stages here, and let's put this in. Let's go to the project itself to take a look at the analytic account. So let's go to the projects from here. So here you can see there are already other projects created. Let's look into our project. And in the settings, we can see our customer we selected there, as well as the analytic account product development. And let's look into the possibility to work with budgets based on the analytic account, because this is also something which is brought back by the OCA. So it was removed from Odoo, and therefore now OCA modules are required to have it back again. So it's really important, especially for the German market, to have a really solution for especially for the finance section. Here you can see we prepared the budget already. Let's go in there. And in this case, we created one line for the expense, for the product development, as well as for the income. And here we have the planned amount. And there are already theoretical amounts in it since it's already started. And now we are going to put some values in that by creating according invoices for income and outcome. Before we do that, let's go back to the project and put some hours to the tasks. For example, here in the analysis, let's book some hours on the timesheet. For example, here, 6 hours, because there is also on the employee, we have the cost price. That means also the hours we are going to log to this project are going to reflect in the costs for this project and analytic account. What else can we see here, especially from the OCA, is we can use we talked about dependencies, and here I wanted to show you something else, but let me jump into another project where we already created that one. So here we have the possibilities of milestones, for example, or maybe, Here, for example, we can set milestones. This is also a really important functionality for project planning in general. It's brought by the OCA module here as well. So we can, for example, select a milestone here to assign this task to a specific milestone. Also, the tag functionality is something which is brought into a project by the OCA module. So most fields here are not default, but based on, I think we installed about 20 project add-ons. What we can also see is a web timeline, which is also really helpful. So let's change the view here. Of course, here we only have 3 tasks, but in a big project, this is really helpful to also see the timeline here, as well as the dependency. So the arrows here in black are part of the dependencies we created for those tasks. And as you can see, I can also move. Yeah, this is okay since constraint is not okay, but I can move the tasks in this view as well. So I can change it from this view and do my planning, which is also really great. Yeah. What else? I explained it before. We can, here in the configuration, you can see we not only using the milestones, but also the status is something which is brought by our OCA module. Milestones we already talked about, as well as the tags. And last but not least, when we go to the project, we can also remove the filter here for templates, because what we can do and what is also really helpful is to use project templates. Means we can create tasks here already and according stages, like you can see here, new, running, done, and cancelled. And by selecting the according template, when you create a new project, the tasks will appear directly. So when it's common that you always have same tasks or similar tasks, so you can define several or different templates for different types of projects. Okay.
So how many projects can you plan at the same time? What is a rough estimate on figures here for this tool?
At the same time, this is a little bit a problem, because you need something to forecast. So there's a functionality to look at. Then you have a kind of overview, but unfortunately, this is nothing we can have from the community. But this would be an option to see how much effort we already, how much effort is planned for the according time, that you can then plan in more detail and say, okay, we need to shift projects, or yeah, when you can start new projects. So therefore, a forecast is really helpful. Okay, back to the accounting. We already looked at the budget, and what we also want to look at is the budget or analytic groups and analytic tags, because this is also something which was removed from the community version and also brought back by additional OCA modules. So here we created analytic tags, sorry, not the tags, the rules were removed, but here we created some tags, and with those tags we also created the product development, which will, for example, have 50% of expenses which are assigned to the analytic tag software, and 50% are assigned to the internal administration group, let's call it that way. The default rules, this is what I mentioned here, is brought by the OCA module. So here we can define that a tag, for example, here, software, is applied with the account 0135. And here you really have great options to also define more details. You can select specific products, specific partners, time start and end dates, that this rule is only applied in a specific frame of time. So this is really helpful when you're working with analytic accounts. Okay, good. And here we have the account groups. We just looked into the administrative and product development, as well the analytic accounts itself, where we can see the product developments. And from here you can also see that there is already debit as well as a credit on that account, and we have the balance. Of course, it's minus because we're going to do some development and there is no income on this analytic account. Okay.
So why do we use the analytic accounts in general? What do you think? I mean, is that something that we are needing always?
Well, I think it's yeah, it's not really something which is very public, but when we're doing project implementations, especially for the German market, the finance and controlling is something which is very, very important. So we see a lot of yeah, real nice and fast or do videos with super nice features, but that's not normally what a CEO wants to see. He's not really feature based. He wants to see how the company is working and if it's succeeding or not. And therefore, we need to have an overview about our costs and, of course, income. And therefore, we always set up the analytic accounts in finance. The old way was to create own accounts for all those things, to have a kind of reporting, but that's not really a good way. So what we recommend is always to use the analytic accounts for that. Okay, so let's go back to our use case. Let's say we work on this project. We wanted to create a new design for the workstation. We did the analysis here already. And now we can also work on the concept and design. So let's edit this one as well and put some times that we also receive some costs on it. Okay, and let's add one more. Okay, good. So now we're already in a stage where we can purchase the product. We did not set up here reordering rules or special rules for MTO or something like that, since this is not really related to the OCA modules. Instead, we just want to create a purchase order here to see how it reflects on our analytic accounts and projects. So here, let's use this one. So let's buy the workstation. Let's say 10 minutes. And let's put it here to the product development analytic account. As you can see here, we had to select it since there was no rule for it, because we also want to sell it. So this is just the purchase from a subcontractor, and therefore it's fine to add it here in the purchase order manually. Okay. So let's confirm to a purchase order that we can also receive the goods. Okay. And let's add it. Validate 10 pieces. Okay, it's there. What we can do now here is, as you can see here, there's an inspection. So we received it, it's in stock, but now we want to see if the quality is okay. And therefore, we created a quality test. And here you can see it's created automatically in this case. So let's look into this, what happened here. You can see the test is inbound control workstation, quantity 10. It's related to this product, and it's related to the picking IN05. which we just did, and the state here is ready. So let's jump into it. And here we have two questions. We need to check completeness. Yes, okay. All products are there. And second one, quality. Okay, what's the possibility here to answer? Monitor is correct. No issues, or safety pack is open. So let's say no issues. And then you can save and confirm. Okay, so what did we do here? We used the quality control from the OCA, which is really a great set of modules, because you can use this in several places. So as you can see here, there's an overview about all the tests. You can define own test categories, like you can see here, and you can define your own tests with according questions and answers. And you can also use different type of answers, for example. Here, especially for the measurement in MRP, we are often using this test or quality controls for our customers, that when they receive subcontracted products, for example, or when they want to deliver products to a customer, that they can use those quality checks for qualitative and also for quantity values. And you can also define them. Yeah, please.
There's also a kind of inclusions in the inventory, right? It's not just only here in the purchase, and also not just in the MRP, but it's also in the inventory that you have quality checks, right?
Yeah, that's right. The great thing with those checks, not everyone knows that, is that you can define it on the product categories, for example. When you use the product categories, like you can see here, the workstation, you can configure your quality controls. And there you can select different triggers. So that means you can, like we just saw for receipts, but you can also trigger it by delivery orders, by internal moves, by production done, for example. So when a product is manufactured, you can directly do the quality test with that one. So that's really a helpful tool or tools, because, yeah, as I said, it's a set of modules we're using there. But the customer are also very happy with that. That's also something we can say from our projects. Okay, let's go back to the purchase. So here we have the purchase order, and as you can see, we're waiting for the bill. So let's create the bill, that we can also put some additional costs to our analytic account. As you can see here, we have the workstation, we have the product development, everything is already there. And yeah, when we look at that, everything seems fine. So we can just, add the reference, select the date, and confirm the invoice. So now it's posted. So that also means that our budget will show us now additional values. So let's look into that. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, here it is. The 990. You can see it here, created today by the PO05. Okay.
And it is also split upon the various categories, right?
Sorry, please repeat.
I said it's also split between the various categories because we have set it up as a split view.
The split is software. So that we're going to look into now, where we have created a split on the product development and the internal administrative department. That we can take a look now here. Therefore, we prepared a purchase contract for a business software, for example. Yeah, we used the example as business software, and we created a contract here that we said, okay, this is something which is recurring, of course, because yeah, let's say it's services software for 12 months, and we will receive this invoice every month. And there we have one-time fee with 125 for the business software, and recurring fee for the business software itself, and a one-time fee for the setup. Let's look into the lines. So here we set the tag for software, and that's the tag we configured for the split. Let's check it here, so it's not here. So let's put it here as well. Then we can save and confirm as well. Okay. Sorry, this should not happen. Okay, data. Okay, then let's go to invoice directly. That's also fine. Then we can create it from there. Let's use this one, and let's create the invoice. Vendor bills. Create. And here we are using the same products because we just wanted to show the split, so we can do that from here as well. That's not an issue. So tax. Per month, 125. And then we had the setup with 50 and also assigned to software. Okay. Let's add the reference, date, save it. Okay, now we can confirm. And here we have 208.25 as a value. So we can look into the budget now and see what happened there on the product development. In the expenses. And here we can see the business software now. So it's also added to our budget. And as you can see, the amount is splitted. Okay. Now we can go back to our project. So we created we received the product now, means implementation is done, as well as the quality tests, and then we have the possibility now to sell our product to customers, that there is also a revenue on it. So let's create an order. And here you can see the next feature, which is from the OCA, which is the commission module. Here you can define commissions to lines, sale order lines, which is really great. So you can, maybe you can, let's save it, that we can look into it. So here we have commission types, means you can create a commission like fixed 10%, and this one you can configure here. It's already selected, yeah. Percentage from net amount, and then you can also select how it should be calculated. Means based on the payment or based on the invoice. So most companies are using based on the payment because they want to give the money to the sales agents only when they also receive their money from the customers. That's what they're typically doing. Then we have the agent itself. So this is something which is, let's say not fully implemented, I would say, because agents are really own model. Sorry. Okay, so here what you can see is we can see the contacts, but we cannot define them as an agent from here. And that means when we're using this module, it creates our own contact again, which is of course not really helpful. So that could be enhanced, but in general, this module is already great. Okay. So let's save him as an agent. Of course, it can be the case that it's also external one. In this case, it's fine. But a lot of companies are also using the employees as agents, and for that, of course, we already have a contact. Then we have an employee record, and then we also have an agent record. That doesn't make it very helpful. So here you need to set the agent information. If it's an external agent, and then you need to assign the commission for the agent and how the payment should be settled. So let's keep it on monthly. Okay, good. So let's go back to our order. Sorry, it's a quotation now. So, a second. Unfortunately, I'm not able to assign it here. No, sorry, I'm not able to assign the agent for some reason here. I'm not sure why, but I have to skip this one. Okay, so let's confirm the order. Now we have the delivery, and here you can see we have the product for delivery first. So let's validate this, and here you also can see the quality checks. We did not assign it on the category, so in this case it's not created automatically, but it could be done as we could see before. So here I just click on apply, that we have all quantities done. And here you can see the inspection was not created automatically in this case. Let's go back to our sale order and create the invoice. So here we define the regular invoice for it. And yeah, let's confirm it. Okay, so it's posted now. And when we take a look at our budget now again, we should have some additional values in the income section now. Yeah, here it is. Okay. Now we have sold our product. We created several income and expenses for it. And what we now want to show is something really important, which was removed with version 14, the reconcile. This is really a critical functionality for the finance. But yeah, it was removed from the community, but thanks to OCA, it's there again. So here we want to import a bank statement first. So let's select the file to import and upload. Well, here you can see now the entries from the bank statement. There we have two bills, one bill and one invoice, which were created in the system before. And now we can post it. So it's in processing now. And then we can go to dashboard. And let's go here to customers and
Reconcile this with the bank. Go with the bank.
sorry?
Reconcile this with the bank. Go with the bank. 3 dots.
Reconciliation models are here, not the real reconcile, right? It's only the model. Joe? No, are you there?
Statement. Exactly. You can jump over it. I'm going to send it to you right away, okay?
Sorry, I could not really hear you.
If you jump over it, I'm going to send it to you right away, okay?
Okay, all right. Okay, so let's look into the VAT statement now, which is also something brought by OCA. In the reporting section, there is a VAT report, which was a real big gap. So here you can see a form which is designed like the Elster portal is as well. So it also looks really similar. So let's update the values here. And you can see here, for example, on line 26, that we have some values here on the inbound, as well here on line 53, based on the orders we have in the system. So we can also see the lines from here, and there we can see the associated journal entries which result in this report. It's a little bit complicated to set it up, so we just want to show that as well, because it's split it into the German text tags, where you have all the sections you need to configure. So it's working with kind of tags, and when you open the tags, you then need to assign the according tax report lines. So this is a configuration you need to, which needs to be done once. And based on that configuration, it will fetch the values and put it in the right section of the report, which is some effort in the beginning, but in the end, of course, it's a great benefit, because if there are also some changes like we had last year for the reduced tax, then you can easily configure it and adjust it according to the needs. So this is the one hand side to configure the German tax, but then there is also a second step for the configuration, with needs to be done on the tax itself. So when we open here, for example, 19%, then you can see here the distribution for invoices and credit notes is done automatically by the configuration of the tax. So this is the result of what we saw before. And in the advanced options, you can see the tax grids. And this is also something you need to set up to have the correct tax report, VAT report in this case. What is also there is, we currently do not have European shipments here, but the ZM, so Zentrale Meldung, is also done with this, zusammenfassende Meldung, is also done with this module, so that's also included, and that's really a great feature for the German market. Missing piece, we always hear it again, is that there is no EDI currently to the Elster, but working with this one is already a very good step and a great enhancement of the OCA. Okay, so then let's okay. What we else can see is the result of our postings in the system. So let's go to the reports. As you can see here, there is a number of financial reports besides the VAT report, which is added by OCA modules. So just as a, to see the difference, here's also a tax report included. Let's print this one just to see the difference of those reports. Okay, here also no values, but this would be a PDF report, and therefore it is not really helpful when you have to add your amounts in Elster. But what we can look into is the account overview. So there we can see what happened on the income. Let's choose all entries here and show account overview. Then we have a kind of general overview here, and then we have an income of our 19% account we created before. So let's look into the details, and here we can see posted invoices, and since we selected all entries, we can also see the draft invoices here with the according values. Okay. Next to it, we also have the general ledger, which is here showing all the postings we did up till now. So here again, similar view like we had before. We can see that 4.4 is an account type view. So we have a sub account of it. And here we have the invoice, the posted invoices again. Okay, good. Also important part we did not include here in the use cases directly next to the budget. You can see the assets. It was removed as well, but of course assets is also important to set up in finance. So it's brought back by the OCA modules again, and we are using this yearly in each project where the finance is really up and running. Okay. Good. Okay. Maybe we can look into some more functionalities. We did not set it up completely here for the demo, but this is also something where we are happy to have the OCA modules available, which is for SEPA payments. And there are 2 modules already provided by the OCA to handle the transfer or transfer file-based transfer from Odoo to the bank. And this is also a great tool handed out by the OCA. Okay. Okay. Yeah, as you can see here on the left side, there is a number of modules installed. We can take a look into it and also talk about them. Like we said in the beginning, the employees and the attendants, there is a lot of enhancements included from the OCA. So when we go there, we have reports from the OCA for the attendance here, like the theoretical and the real attended time. And let's look at that. Yeah. Okay. Okay. No result for whatever reason. Sorry, that's not how it should be. Okay. Nope. It's not opening. Sorry. Maybe I need to switch the database. Just a second. Second. Okay, so I'm back. Okay, now I just switched the database and like to look into this one here. So let's take a look into the employee solution here again, or maybe, sorry, no, let's start with the reconcile. Just want to show where it is related here, but
Alfred, reconcile
yeah.
is on the bank statements. You go on the bank statements.
Yeah, but here is not even a dashboard in this database.
Okay.
So that's a picture later. Okay, we have a database here. Just switching my language. Okay. You would need to import a new invoice. Sorry, a new statement to reconcile, right? Here we have the model, the menu item for the reconciliation, but we do not have imported a bank statement yet, so this is not prepared here.
Never mind. It's just hop over to it, but it's important module and we are using it usually pretty often.
Okay. Okay, then I can maybe show something on this one here to jump into the employees again. Okay. Okay, so let's take a look on the attendance module. So here we can see in this database we have a lot of attendances. Just let me switch the language here as well. And with the attendance, we also have, of course, the time off or the leave, which you can also see here in the attendance type. So this one is, for example, a leave type we have created in this database, and there the OCA supports with additional modules. Let me close my connections. Locked off. Okay, we have the public holidays available from the OCA here to configure them and import them automatically, which is big help for the attendance section. And also on the employee itself, we have some additional features here. So let's maybe look into the employee itself. Search for Okay. There we have, also enhanced the functionality, but we're using a lot of base modules from the OCA. Like you can see here already, the RFID code and the PIN code. So we enhanced the attendance solution that we can use, for example, tablets that an employee can log in, log out, and therefore we also created some functionalities to track overtime hours and such things. But this is really based on OCA modules. So like you can see here, we have an overtime count, but the overtime as well as the other informations here like badge ID or fleet from a mobility card is OCA based. Okay. In the leave types, this is also added by us, but the base is also OCA to have different leave types on the employee, and we enhance this functionality in a project. Here you can see most of the additional options from the OCA modules, like here in the section citizenship, like gender, passport, IDs, date of birth, place. These are all important informations, and especially for the human resources department, this is really important to have that information available. But for some reason, it's required to have OCA models that those informations are there. And this is really helpful. Sometimes it's really hard to get to have the overview what is already available from the OCA. But if you look into the functionalities you can have from that, it's really a big support. Okay. The shift details is kind of mixed. So to create shifts, there are also modules available, and especially for the MRP customers, of course, it's interesting how the resources are planned and which shift they are going to take. And therefore, this is also very important. In general, when we deploy a new system, we usually have up to 100 or even more OCA modules deployed right away, which we are always using, and then based on demand, we are adding additional modules there.
Okay. Is there any more areas where we would like to point out, like production or those areas? I know that they are not set up in the origin database, but they might be an option right now since you have already switched to database anyways.
Yeah, of course, we have the bunch of the field service modules. We did not prepare values or data for that, but of course, the field service is, I think with more than 25 modules, real big solution from the OCA, to handle this one. So we can take a look at that, for example. As you can see already in the settings, this is the setting of the field service. And you can imagine that each setting is related to additional module there. So there is quite a lot of functionality included, and which is really a big support for customers which need to plan their teams. It's also related to fleet, for example, Maybe you can take a look at all the functionalities here. So that the equipment, of course, so what equipment is required, also related to the fleet and the workers you have there. So what are your teams? What are the skills there for the according people you have in the field service? And as you can see here, you can manage yeah, the vehicles or the fleet itself. And there's also a module available. It's not installed here, but you can also plan your field service routes using Google. And this is really a helpful feature to have a good process on how the field service orders are handled or in which sequence they are they're done. The field service module itself is also related to other modules here. Like you can see, it's linked to a project, for example, or you can also sell field service orders as well as the CRM. So you can track CRM for the field service as well. So there's really a lot of possibility with those modules. And as I said here, manage route of your workers. This is also something where the system creates a suggestion how the route can look like based on the according dates when the service is scheduled, as well on the location where the service takes place. And here you can see that it is also working with Geo Engine and Google Map. So this is maybe something we should point out, that this is really a big solution and we did not talk about it yet.
Yeah, field service is really a great module for sure. If it's needed for a particular situation with a client, you should really use it, but you also need to make yourself familiar with it before you can use it, for sure. On the manufacturing side, we sometimes are also being asked about the manufacturing planning, like MRP2, and those kind of things are also been included. It's also based on modules from OCA, MRP planning, and MRP inventory, as you can see. So there's also additions that you really can facilitate to make sure that you are going to have a great manufacturing facility that are really needed for doing a complete scope of manufacturing with it.
Yeah, that's right. Just clicked into the manufacturing module here. So it's installed. This is the MRP2 module. And as you can see here, you can define next to MRP areas, you can define MRP area parameter here. Therefore, you can, for example, plan a specific product. And this one can be also added with according values, like you can see here, group days of estimates as a kind of safety stock. So this helps you to plan your manufacturing based on sale or history or sales history, to say, okay, I expect to have that much of sales, and therefore I will plan my MRP accordingly. And therefore you have those values like safety stock, minimum order quantity, and you can group this one. So this makes your suggestion of different manufacturing orders. So when you group, for example, like 7 days, then it will plan a MRP for you every week, and it will split the quantity you planned there based on the group of days then. And that's of course also a helpful tool. And it can be added with some more tools there. So, for example, demand-driven estimates or something like that. So this is also something which will also work and which is available in OCA.
Okay, Alfred, thanks very much for giving us a great insight about how this solution really is capable of handling most of really everybody's needs in the industry, whether what kind of business it is. So I think that was really a great possibility to see about this. I'm going to take over the presenter again and conclude with the basically with the remaining slides, and then we leave it up for open it up for questions and answers right after. Is it? So we have seen the showcase. I think it had been a good example of how you really can have an enhanced version of the community that is bringing a lot of things to life. Now, what kind of experience do we have with user requirements? Well, in general, saying that the users are demanding and therefore the requirements might be demanding as well. They usually they tend to sometimes be a little bit obnoxious, but we need to say it's because of their business requirements. And therefore, in our view, there's two ways of fulfilling their needs. There's one thing that existing modules, I think that's the primary choice, because if you have found a module which is aligned to what the customer is needing, then you have the advantage of getting the updated version of the module also. I mean, after a time certainly, but that is certainly some plus. And there's also methodology that might be in place. It's not always a module that you need, but you also can pretend a particular method and suggest to the customer. The other thing is new development, of course. And on the one point, I think it is really important to understand very thoroughly what is needed, because the customer can also explain a couple of different things, and in the end, it is really questionable whether that kind of exception handling that the customer has in mind is always good for product development. So you should really go with the main course. And then again, see what kind of module there is, if it's having a particular fit and is good, suitable for that particular purpose, you can suggest. If it's having a gap, you might be adding towards functionality. Test it and then see how it's going to be supported. Maybe the module is no longer supported, so you might be then ready to support it yourself and show it to the client. And that's the one possibility. The other possibility is that might be a route that a couple of partners are taking, that they want to do basically the development on their own. That's of course something that is custom built for the partner, for the customer. That is sometimes a good fit, but most of the time it's a good fit on the one hand side, but it might be a very special case also. And therefore you might be off when it comes to the next customer, which might be having a slightly different requirement than your development might not fit. So in our view, it's always a good idea to make it a general purpose approach, where you try not to be too specific and make it not from the old software that might be also in place where you derive those kind of business processes, but that you think in the language of the Odoo product and in the language and the community of the OCA that you are going to develop. And then if you have it developed readily, you might be considering also to put it up into the OCA. And second topic is, what if modules are not yet available? I mean, we are all kind of bound. We are all having our businesses, and if we are going to do new modules, that are then for the community, it's going to consume some time. So time is our most valuable resource. So what to do if they're not ported? We would suggest that you should be talking to the originators first. That means you find out about those in the manifest files. Some of the people in the OCA are really huge contributors, and I think we should all be very happy about their work, and therefore talk about their plans and their schedules. They have also their kind of restrictions, limitations, whatever, and therefore you might want to consider them and know when they might be considering doing an update to a particular module that they have brought up. Also, if you have the guts, why don't you participate? I think most of the people are really liking the idea that you might be helpful. And if it's not yet been kind of supported anymore, if you should try to find out first why it's no longer supported. Some of the modules have been actually superseded by others, and therefore it might be having another module that has a better functionality. So you should look into that if it's not yet ported to the current version. And if it's not yet built, of course, you should propose, but you also should consider that there's other people in the community thinking about the same thing at the same time. And you can actually make a team with it. So you should join the team and try to make those kind of ideas being a community effort. And then you should, of course, think about when you're going to do it, who is going to do what, as always, and then go and do it in particular, because a lot of plans are not yet fulfilled because they're stopping with the thinking and not with the being done. So that's our view of what you can do with regards to the modules. My call to action today is that I think you have seen also that it's possible to build on the OCA stack. OCB as a base, a lot of OCA modules are really great. There might be some other modules that are not yet there. We might consider building them altogether. I think we can make a great solution. An open solution, on the other hand, because as we know, OCA modules are always put up under LGPL here in this case, and therefore it's a good open solution there. I have made a list about some of the modules you've seen today. They are put up on the web page, so you can actually have just a look of what we are using. Usually, it's not a complete list. There might be additions. And hey, we also, if you have good suggestions, please don't hesitate to write us and tell us, hey, this module you have left out, you should consider. We would be more than happy to learn about it. Think about building cooperations between us. I think we are somewhat competitors in the market sometimes, but most of the time we are actually more than being cooperative. We should be really putting our strength together. There's a lot of competition around there, and those are usually other companies, other systems, and we should try to get the edge. Well, and thanks again. In particular, also thanks to the sponsors of the community. I think it's great that we have this kind of community all together, and thank you here on that point. If there's any questions, please don't hesitate to ask us now. Here's the sponsorship slide, and my name is Joerg Lorenz. Thank you very much today.